What is up, everybody? Jason, aka Jester. Today we're back outside and we're cooking my favorite thing in the world to make, pork ribs. 20-some years I've been cooking barbecue. There have been some great successes. There's been a lot of failures, but I'm finally at a point where I feel really confident that these are some of the best ribs you could possibly have. I'm going to show you all the little tips and tricks I use along the way to get them to where they can be a family favorite for you guys at home. We are going to be doing two different styles today. One is going to be the baby back rib. This comes off the pork loin. And this style, we're going to be doing a yellow mustard on the back, and then a kind of a niche rub. This is a touch of cherry. Probably a local thing, but I'm sure you can find something at your local grocery store that's going to be similar. The family really likes just a little hint of fruit, and then the savory from the mustard, and then at the very end, we're going to be adding some brown sugar to it. So it's got just a little hint of sweetness to it as well. Very much family favorite when it comes to those. My personal favorite, though, is going to be the spare ribs. And we're going to show you today how to cut these into St. Louis. And on those, we're going to be using my personal favorite rub, which is the Woody's Barbecue Dry Rub. And this stuff's based out of northern Arkansas, I believe. I buy this stuff by the 5-pound container. You can put it on everything. It's extremely all-purpose. Chicken, beef, pork. Heck, I even season French fries with it sometimes. It's just a really, really good versatile rub that you can use for just about anything you want to put on a smoker. Speaking of the smoker, today we're going to be using a Traeger pellet-fed electric smoker. I know I'm not a huge fan of these things, but it's a really easy way to not only get a consistent temperature, but I don't have to kind of fart around with the fire too much. The one problem I do have with this Traeger, though, is it does tend to be a little bit dry on the inside. For some reason, those pellets burn really dry. There's two ways to combat that. You can either put a water pan inside your smoker and make it work like a humidifier, where it's going to evaporate water into the air and give you the moisture you need to keep your stuff from drying out. Or you can do what we're going to do today for the spare ribs anyway, and we're going to be adding what I call a Carolina mop. It's basically a apple cider vinegar, Dr. Pepper with a bunch of stuff in it. It's going to add some flavor. It's going to keep some moisture in our ribs as we go. All that being said, let's get the baby backs on my cutting board and let's get cooking. Alrighty guys, the beautiful part about baby backs is they really don't require a whole lot of work, but you need to check the bottom here because I can already see that there is just a little sliver of bone that was down there, so we want to make sure we get that out. And then all we're going to do is basically clean these up just a touch. I don't want to take too much of the meat off, but really these are pretty much ready to go right out of the bag for the most part. There is one little thing that you do need to do, and I would suggest that you grab maybe a butter knife, and this will help you do this, is you come in about the third or the fourth bone, and you start and press down, and it gives you this membrane. From there, I recommend a cotton glove. You pull that membrane back, and it comes all the way off. You want to make sure that gets removed, because that's going to be really, really hard to render. It's going to make them kind of chewy. From there, let me show you how we season. Alrighty guys, so all we're going to do is we're going to take some of this mustard here, and we're going to slather that down, about like so. And then I'm just going to rub that around, and I'm only going to be seasoning the back side of these, and we're going to be cooking with this side up. So we're going to get that mustard nice and spread around. This is going to help the rub to stick, and it's also going to add flavor, so you want to make sure that it's distributed fairly evenly. From there, what you can do is you can just get your rub opened up, and let's just sprinkle some right across. Nice even coverage. Like so. Maybe a little more there. These are ready to go in. Alrighty guys, this is going to be a little bit harder to see just because of the angle that we're shooting at, but spare ribs are just a little bit more involved. First thing you want to do is this portion right here on the meat is called the skirt. You could leave this on if you want to keep it as a spare. We don't want to keep it as a spare today, so we're just going to cut right at the base of that, straight down until we get that skirt meat off of there. We'll probably cook that up. It'll be a nice snack about halfway through. Second step to making this a St. Louis is you got to remove this knuckle bone, and then we're going to remove this rib tip, which is at the bottom. So the way to do that is you come in right there underneath that knuckle. And then you want to try to aim right for the bottom of the bones. There is a cartilage in there, and you're going to have to break through that. But that is basically it. That's all you really need to do. We're going to trim these up just a little bit, clean them up a touch. And then basically it's just the same process that we did a second ago, which is going to be, we're going to take our knife, come in about that third bone, and press down right at the top, and then you kind of lift. Now I have seen this done with an oyster shucker as well, and those work great, by the way. If you can find it, definitely one of those, but a butter knife works just the same. And then all you have to do is, and like I said, I recommend these cotton gloves. These are getting thrown away at the end of this, by the way. And then you just peel back that membrane. Let's season this up. Alrighty, so just as a quick point, I do have one of these, which is just a nice little shaker. It makes it really easy to distribute rub whenever I'm doing barbecue. What we're going to do on the front side is just a really, really light amount. And then we're going to put a little on the rib tip there as well. And now we're going to flip this. And this is where we want good, super even coverage, is on the back side. You don't want to go too cakey, but you want a really nice, even layer. Let's season that up a little bit. The rib tip is actually my favorite part. I think it's the juiciest and the meatiest part of the rib. And that's pretty much it. This is ready to go in. We're going to get this fired up, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of little tricks with the Traeger. Alrighty, so as you can see, we've got the meat in the Traeger, but it is not turned on just yet. So let's close this down, and let's come down here. Now this is going to be an important part, because this is something I had to learn over time. What you want to do is you want to turn your machine on and go to the smoke cycle only. If you go directly to your 250 or your 275, yes, you're going to get the heat, but for some reason, this particular pellet fed doesn't like to put smoke in the meat if you cook it directly at temperature. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the smoke cycle for about 2.5 hours, and I'd say this is going to end up being about a 6-hour cook today. So somewhere in that neighborhood, 5.5 to 6. But we will kind of get there as we get there, and I'll see you guys after the smoke cycle is done. Alrighty, everybody, we are back. I'm going to have to speak a little bit loud to go over the machine, but it's been 2.5 hours, and now we are ready to add some things to our meat and turn up the temp. First of all, I'm going to put a really little thin layer of brown sugar on our baby backs. This will get this process of sweetening them up just a little bit going. And we're going to add a little more later as well, with a couple other things. Again, don't want to overdo it because the stuff will crust up a little bit, but just a little layer to kind of get some sweetness added in. From there, we can now add our Carolina Mop Sauce. Kind of hard to see, I'm sure. This kind of looks like mud water. Believe me, it's delicious. Basically, this stuff is just a vinegar. It's an apple cider vinegar with some Dr. Pepper mixed into it, and quite a bit of other stuff. There's butter, there's chili powder, there's cumin, there's celery seed, a little bit of mustard, a little bit of dry mustard. It's just it's really nice, and it gives a really good flavor. And again, what we're doing this for, number one, I really enjoy Southern style barbecue. Being in Kansas City, KC is one of the meccas for barbecue, and you don't find many other variations other than Kansas City style here in town. So I kind of like this version of barbecue. Not to say that Kansas City is the best, or Texas is the best, or Southern barbecue is the best. I personally think my barbecue is the best. So, and I kind of do a hybrid between them all. And now we've got a little bit of addition of moisture there. We're going to turn this up to 250. We're going to let it go for about an hour and a half. And from there, we'll probably come back out and we'll wrap them up, and I'll show you guys that. Alrighty guys, an hour and a half's gone by. I think it's awesome that you get to see that in just a blink of an eye, but literally an hour and a half's gone by at 250. So now it's time to put these in the wrap. We're going to start with the mustard and brown sugar baby back. What I've got here is just a piece of foil. I've got a little bit of butter and some more brown sugar. We're going to put these lean side down. You're going to want to work quick if you don't have gloves on, because this does get hot. Going to wrap these up. And I'm going to let that back side kind of cook in its own juice in that butter for a little while. Lastly, we've got our other ribs, which are looking amazing. These we're going to cook this side up. But before we put them in, we are going to put another little layer of mop on it. And hopefully as this cooks and gets done a little bit faster, you're kind of making a little oven inside of there with the foil. Just going to keep that internal temperature a little bit higher. Close that guy off. Put it in there with the, like I said, lean side up. And we're going to let that go for about another hour to an hour and a half. I will check them in an hour. If they're ready, we'll show you guys that when we get back. Alrighty guys, it's been about an hour and 20 minutes. So we're kind of right in between that hour to an hour and a half I estimated. And they're done. We still have one more step to go on our spare ribs, but the baby backs are good and finished up. And let me show you how I know. Always be careful also, there's a lot of juice and stuff inside that foil. When these bones wiggle around freely, and they feel like they want to come right out, these are done. You don't have to worry about temperatures. I guarantee that bone will not move around if it is below temperature. From there, we get our spares out of here. And they look good and juicy. Oops, that's what I'm saying. This is what those are going to look like. I'm going to put them back in the smoker. And then I'm going to add a little bit of this stuff here. This is Arthur Bryant's Sweet Heat Barbecue Sauce. This is a local Kansas City barbecue place, and it's wonderful. I'm just going to take some of this, and we're going to pour it right over the top of our ribs. And then I'm going to take that brush we had and just brush it on. We're going to give these about 10 more minutes just to tack up. When we get this finished up, I'll see you guys on the cutting board with our baby backs, and then we'll show you the spares here in just a second. Alrighty, let's cut into these baby backs, and the spares will be just a minute there because they are still tacking up. And let's just give us a couple of cuts here. I did give these just a couple of minutes to kind of re-solidify and rest. This is the result, guys. As you can see, that's got an amazing smoke ring to it. It's hotter than heck, but it's got an amazing smoke ring, and I promise you there's going to be some amazing flavor that's going on with that. It's got a really nice glaze to the back of it. These always come out fantastic. I know why the family likes them, but let me show you the ones that I really like. Alrighty, now for the final conclusion to our ribs today. These we have to cut upside down, so the lean side up. So what I typically do is I kind of get my fingers near where the bone's at and cut down right in between them. And the spare ribs do actually turn just a touch. These probably could have stood to rest for just another minute or two, but not bad, not bad. And again, you see it's got the nice sauce on the back. And again with the beautiful color. And when you bite these, fall off the bone ribs, guys. Oh, goodness gracious. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know I'm going to go enjoy this. If you did, think about giving the video a like. And hit the subscribe if you want to see more stuff coming up in the future. Till then, guys, enjoy your meals. Bye.